What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome back to Off the Bench. Of course, I'm DeMarcus. As you can see, my boy Ty's not here, but I got a special guest with me. I got my boy Joel Harrison with me today. So he's one of our local women's coaches for UWF, University of Florida. So what's going on, Joel? How was your week, man?
It was a great week. Just busy, like you said. Back in the grind of, practices, workouts, getting ready for official practice to start up next Saturday. I just got off the road. I was, recruiting at a JUCO event in Georgia yesterday. So just a little bit of everything, trying to get back in the grind and get ready for the season that's quickly approaching.
Yeah. So how was the event you went to?
It was good. There's a lot of JUCOs or junior colleges from kind of the Southeast region. So got to see a lot of talent from a lot of different places, and I just try to start to build our recruiting list for this upcoming year and the following year. Okay.
Good. All right. So today, man, we want to get into, we got a bunch. As you can see, I sent you in my little itinerary, so we got a lot to cover. So we're gonna try to get through as fast as possible. When it comes to everything. So what I want to do first of all, I want to talk about just your experience with women's basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Title IX. What are your thoughts? Like, is it like give the people a little bit of feedback of what you're experiencing, when it comes to that?
Yeah, so obviously as a women's basketball coach, if there's no Title IX, I'm not sitting here talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Title IX was everything for obviously what we see women's sports and what they've grown into today and what they continue to grow into. Women's sports are some of the fastest growing sports in all of sports. And I think it's awesome to see and obviously awesome to be a part of. But it's actually the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which is obviously, big time for all of us involved in the sport, in the women's sports world. And for those that don't know, Title IX is the amendment that was put in place in 1972 that basically it ruled against the discrimination of female students and athletes in the educational systems that received like government funding. Yeah. So basically that's a long way of saying like it discontinued the ability to discriminate against females and basically made you give equal opportunity to female students and athletes and stuff like that. So as a result of that, that's when you started to see the growth of women's sports, women's basketball, soccer, softball, golf. You go down the line, and then obviously 50 years down the road you can see where women's sports are now. Obviously WNBA season just ended. That was the most watched WNBA finals in history.
I watched it. Actually, I tend to, like, me and Ty talk about a lot on this show, and me and you've talked off camera. But I mean, I've always been watching women's basketball, but it's never been as televised as it is now.
For sure.
But yeah, women's basketball, man, that finals with the Las Vegas, Aces, man, they was putting in that work
for sure.
So it was a good finals, and I'm happy to see. I mean, with women's, soccer, basketball, and all the sports that women's are a part of, they're starting to grow even more.
Absolutely.
In the United States. So it's good to see it. And like you said, having this amendment is what's helping that too as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things, like when you give people equal opportunity, it allows for the growth in sports. So that was the thing that kind of springboarded it all, is okay, just give us the opportunity. Yeah. Because before then, like most universities and stuff like that didn't want anything to do with women's sports at all. Yeah. So now when you give the opportunity, you allow the pioneers of the the women's sports world to kind of go through what they went through to pave the way for us. Now you're starting to see young girls playing sports at younger and younger ages. That's how you're starting to see the talent level, the athleticism, the skill level, starting to be as crazy as it is now with some of the athletes, like one of my favorite players, Asia Wilson, Asia Wilsons of the world, the Diana Taurasi's, like the Brianna Stewarts, Sabrina Ionescu, and all these other hoopers. Like, I mean, but they had the benefit of having other players that they were able to look up to, and before that there was nobody to look up to because there was nothing. So when you're kind of paving the way for an entire sports world, I mean that's a tough thing to go through, but thanks to them and their sacrifices, we have the opportunities that we have today for women athletes all over the world.
Yeah, man, because I see a lot more girls dunking
for sure
that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, now, like I said, that lets you know that the athleticism is catching up. And I've always felt like women's basketball players, the skill level of them have always been elite.
For sure.
Because, like I say, they're not out there dunking and doing all the other athletic things that men could do.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to pass, shoot, and then dribble,
Absolutely.
you know, for real on an elite level. So, well, that's good, man. So now let's talk a little bit about, you know, your coach. I know you say you've coached women, coached guys.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about some things that you can say you've learned from, you know, previous coaching years. Now that you've been at UWF, you been at UWF how long again?
This is actually my second year. Okay, it's going into year 2.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I've learned in coaching, so I've actually been involved with college athletics. This is my 11th year. So I started out as a student manager on the men's side, kind of worked my way up through that. Was a graduate assistant on the women's side. That's how I kind of got into the women's game. I did that for a year, was promoted to the full-time assistant spot the next year, did that at Fulton University, which is my alma mater, for 4 years, and then obviously got the job here at UWF. And then, you know, I'm going into year 2. So been around for a little bit. I mean, I'm not very old, but I mean, I've seen a lot of things. But I think the biggest thing is, like, I mean, if the best coaches are the ones that are adaptable, like you have to be able to adapt to change. Just, you know, when I entered school in 2011, I mean, to 2022, like, kids are different. The world is different. Like, you know, the outlooks on life are different. You know, social media is different. Like, the world is just a different place now than it was 11 years ago when I started. So, for those, you know, kind of the more old school, like the my way or the highway type coaches that have, you know, kind of been doing their thing for 30 plus years and aren't adaptable to change, I think that's why you're starting to see some of the legends of the game kind of bow out. Because some of them honestly aren't willing to change, and they can't handle that, you know, just the outlook and mindset of some kids today are different, which is fine. You just have to find ways to reach those kids. And for the ones that aren't willing to do that, they're like, well, I can't take it. So I'm getting out of this thing.
I've seen that too, just in my little bit of experience being an assistant coach on a high school level. Like, high school is totally different than when I graduated.
For sure.
You know, in 06, you know, so like you say, so I'm even learning myself that, man, you got to adapt, and you got to adapt fairly quickly.
Yes.
Like, it can't be, okay, well, I'm going to do things this way for 5 years and then they'll catch up. No, because these kids are like this. They're growing up in a time where everything's microwave. So you got to be able to not only still make an impact with, you know, with them personally, but you also got to be able to coach them on the court too with that. So I think that's the big difference. And most coaches, like you say, if they're not doing that, man, they got to get
out of there, find something else to do.
And it's crazy because there's a lot of coaches that are having an impact and they're not able to go and do it anywhere else.
For sure.
It's like once they're done this one spot, it's kind of over with, because not everybody's, even, you know, schools are looking for a younger, you know, more in tune with what's going on culturally as well. Because that's another, I think, aspect of it people don't think about. Culturally, so different.
Absolutely.
They ain't just being stubborn. It's like, well, I grew up in a time when the way you act and you think was never okay.
For sure.
So that's why they have an issue. All right, so let's dive into when it come to coaching, you know, or being on the coaching side or seeing the coaching side of men and then seeing the coach side of women. Have you seen similar difficulties? Or have you seen one group be a little bit, I guess you could say, a little easier than the other?
Well, I think the thing that I have the benefit of is appreciating that basketball is basketball, regardless of what side. Like,
the language is the same.
I mean, it's all the same. I mean, the terminology is the same, the strategies and mindsets. Like, the strategies are a little different just because, like, there's some rules in the women's game that are a little different. Like, you know, especially in college basketball, like, women's game has 4 quarters, men's game has 2 halves. Obviously, like, in the women's game, there's no 1-and-1s. Like, you know, you can advance the ball, you know, under a minute in the women's game. You can't do that in the men's game. Like, so there's just some little nuances like that are a little different. But at the end of the day, like, basketball is basketball. And I think one thing that's really helping that, you know, as we're starting to see kind of the growth and popularity of more specifically women's basketball grow, I think you're starting to hear less and less of, you know, you hear the terms of, oh, she's good for a girl. Or like, that's good for, like, girls basketball.
She's a ball player.
It's like, no, like, she's good.
Yeah,
like,
she's a ball player.
Like, she's a hooper. It don't matter, guy, girl, like, whatever. Like, because, I mean, let's be real. Like, you know, WNBA, these are the best some of the best athletes in the world, male or female.
Yeah.
So they'll come in your local rec gym and get off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
whoever's there. Yeah.
So I think people kind of lose sight of that. But just from some of the differences, I mean, obviously, girls are a little bit different to deal with than guys. But I think one of the things that I really appreciate, being on the women's side is like girls are loyal. Girls will listen to you.
Yeah, the attention to detail is so different.
Attention to detail.
Yeah.
Not to say you don't ever, deal with egos, but it's less. Obviously, we as men are pretty egotistical at times. So like you don't deal with as many egos. Like, but if you get a group of girls to buy into you, like they'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah.
And I think that loyalty was refreshing for me because like I kind of struggle with some of the ego. Like I'm not a very egotistical guy. So like when I was coaching guys, like that was sometimes a battle for me. But just being on the women's side and being able to really coach and lock in and teach these young women and to have them actually listen and try to apply what you're trying to do. I think that's been good for me and has really helped me in my young coaching career.
Absolutely. And I think that's critical too, because like just me, like I told you before, I do, training with, girls and boys. And that's one thing I've noticed more than anything, like say, like they lock in on what you're trying to accomplish and they try to figure it out to the nth degree. Some, you have some guys like that, but I've just noticed with girls, it's a little bit more.
For sure. No,
a little bit more attentiveness when it comes to, trying to figure things out. So, all right, last thing, opening up with your background. Now, let's speak about a little bit of what your expectations and goals for this year, because I know you've been doing recruit, you've been really working hard on that. How do you feel about this year coming up?
Yeah, so I'll just tell you basically my responsibilities at UWF. So like I'm the assistant coach, like I'm our recruiting coordinator. So every player that comes through our program is basically vented like through me. So and I guess long story short, like so obviously transfer portal, high school kids, recruiting events, junior college kids, like I cycle through all those, kind of determine who's good enough for us, who's not, who do we need to go after, and then I kind of reach out and do the necessary steps to get them on campus, and then from there we just do our best to try to get them in, and obviously the ones that we were fortunate enough to get, then we're able to form our team and kind of go to war for them, and then just little stuff behind the scenes, like I do a lot of video stuff, do a lot of game prep and scouting, practice planning. I work primarily with our post players, so I do all of our post development and breakdown and all that stuff. So at the small college level, I mean, we're a Division II school. Like we only got a staff of 3 people. So I mean, you kind of get your hands in a little bit of everything.
Wear a lot of hats.
But for me, like being a young coach and coming from the NAI level, like I'm used to that. So I think for me, as I continue to grow, that's been the best thing for me, is that I am well-rounded and have experience in a lot of little things. So I'm not kind of just limited to 1 or 2 skill sets.
Okay.
But expectations for this year, last year we went 19-8. We finished in 4th place in our conference. We were a half game outside of 3rd. We feel like we were a game or 2 shy of making an NCAA tournament appearance. Unfortunately, we lost in the first round of our conference tournament. So, we got 9 new players.
Okay.
9 transfers. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was my first full off season. Being a part of the UWF program. So we knew coming off of a 19-8 year that A, we were really marketable and can go out and get some really talented kids, and B, like we knew that this class was really going to be the class to springboard us for the next couple of years if we did it right.
If you did it right.
Because we feel like we're peaking. We feel like we're headed in a special direction. And we knew this class was going to be a big part of that. So we went out and got 9 transfers. And we're extremely excited about the opportunity that we've got out in front of us. And we recruited them all. We're trying to go win a championship, and not even just conference. We're going after the natty. So our kids have bought into that, and we're working towards that every day, and trying to give us the best opportunity.
Okay. Well, yeah, I know we talked, and I came to a game or 2 last year with you. I think y'all got a good opportunity, because like I said, from what I've seen just in the 2 years you've been in the program, I've seen more energy. I've seen, the teams be better since y'all have come onto the staff. So I think y'all got a good chance this year. And the guys too, I've seen improvement on the men's side too.
Absolutely.
So I'm hopeful that this year for both of y'all turn out good, but definitely the women. So hey man, can we talk a little NBA?
Absolutely,
today?
Let's do it.
I know we do a lot. We do a lot of that. So all right, first thing I'm gonna run into with you, man. So I don't know if you saw it, but we got 3 Ball brothers in the NBA now.
Yeah.
Man. Finally came true. So what do you think about the signing of LiAngelo finally making it to the NBA? Because he's been putting in work.
For sure.
Drew League, Summer League, any program he can get into, he been putting in work. So what do you think about the signing?
Well, first off, I think shout out to LeVar Ball, because he told us so years ago, and a lot of people thought he was crazy.
Yeah, they still
think he's crazy. But I mean, to have that type of faith in your boys, and to see this, kind of working out the way it has, obviously LiAngelo is the most recent one to get picked up, on a training camp roster spot with the Charlotte Hornets. But even though his spot is not guaranteed, just to even have 3 sons like in the picture is amazing.
I mean, I don't think that I've been watching basketball, and I'm sure you've been watching basketball your whole life. I don't think I can recall a time in the NBA it's ever been that way.
Yeah,
where a guy unknown like him was able to get 3 of his sons into the league, and 2 of them be top 5 picks.
For sure, yeah. You've seen a couple groups of brothers, the Plumlees, the Holidays, but like to have them kind of at the level that they are, obviously with LaMelo, being one of the best young guards in the league, obviously Lonzo's been hurt and is hurt right now, but being a pivotal piece on all the teams that he's been on, and I think honestly one of the more underrated young players in the league for what he brings to the table.
The injuries, man, is just kicking his butt. I think if he's healthy. Because even like I want to say last season, like that, it was a glimpse of probably about 15, 20 games with Chicago. I'm like, oh, this is the Lonzo we've been waiting on.
For sure, yeah.
Because in LA, I felt like he never really got a chance to groom into the player he needed to be. And then, of course, he had to change his shot. He had to really learn how to play guard on a team with a superstar like LeBron and all that. So I think him going to Chicago, it's like, okay, less pressure in the sense I don't have to be the savior. I could just play my game. And we got to see him really transform into a good guard. But I'm hopeful this year he can bounce back from that injury, man. I think it's his knee again.
Yeah, it is, from what I've heard. And I mean, it was one of those tough things because obviously being a Laker fan, like when LeBron comes to town, he's taking the ball out you. LeBron's gonna have the ball. So Lonzo being a playmaking guard, that doesn't help him at all.
It kind of squeezed him out. That's why I think him finally getting a chance to be on a team like Chicago where he don't have to worry about that has helped him. So I'm excited, man. I hope he can stay signed with him the whole year.
For sure.
Because like I said, I really think LiAngelo can play. He definitely can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Defensively, I don't know so much where he's gonna, where they're gonna have him, where they have him play a bigger guard size, like small forward, stretch forward. Because, I mean, he's not, the most athletic guy. So and it'd be cool to have both of them on the court at the same time, too. I'm hoping he'll stay signed the whole year, and then he'll have a good year, and we'll go from there. All right, so moving forward from that, what do you think about if the NBA had no conferences?
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see, like, if there were no conferences, how the seedings would work.
Yeah.
I think one thing the NBA has done a good job of, especially in the last couple of years, like I think a lot of us were iffy about the play-in, but I think one thing the play-in has done has like kind of aided to the idea of like, I mean, obviously like the seedings are based off of like where you finish in your division and stuff like that, but like you pretty much knew if you're not in the top 8, you're out. So I think some of that play-in allows for some of those teams that may be in a tough division where you might have 2-3 of the best teams in the league in your division, and may not, may be the odd man out. That play-in, you take the top 10 now, there's at least an opportunity. And I think the play in the last couple of years has been really entertaining. And you've seen some teams, most recently New Orleans last year kind of make the play-in. Next thing they're in the playoffs and making some noise. I was iffy about it, but I think it's been good for the league and it's made the playoffs really entertaining.
Yeah, I think so too, man, because at first I was like, that's kind of, to me, it's kind of like special treatment for guys that, for teams that are just bad.
For sure.
But I think the initial goal was to allow small market teams that don't have all this, glitz and glamour of stars want to play there, but they fighting every day. And then also too, now you don't have teams taking nights off. Because like, you don't want to slide.
Can't afford to.
You can't afford to slide all the way down to the 10th, 11th spot and don't make the playoffs at all. Or don't make the play-in. So I've enjoyed the play-in. I know they came out and said that they're going to continue it. Like it's not because they're seeing that it's building
for sure. No, it's helping the league.
Yeah, and you're seeing other teams really fight for an opportunity, and that's why I think you just want the games to be more entertaining, want the season to mean more, along with the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So I enjoyed it. But now, as for no conferences, I think it'd be kind of interesting because with no conference, then you can see certain matchups that you wouldn't see before the finals.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can see Phoenix play a Brooklyn Net team. You can see Milwaukee play Golden State Warriors team, and then really kind of like that March Madness kind of battle royale into the finals. So I think it would be cool to see. I don't think they'll ever really do it because I think just the way they have it set up, it kind of benefits to stay East West.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for travel purposes, I mean, it's tough to play in LA and then hop on a plane and fly to Brooklyn.
Yeah, exactly. I think logistically too, it don't really work to have no conferences because, like you say, that's a big part of the playoff structure. So, but yeah, you'd be curious to see what it would be like. But that would be cool. All right, so currently as the teams are constructed right now, we know healthy if they're healthy
for sure.
If they're healthy, my question to you is, I'm gonna give you a team and you tell me with them being healthy, what seed you see them being. All right, let's start in the West.
All right,
let's go New Orleans Pelicans. If they're healthy.
If the Pelicans are healthy with a healthy Zion, I think they are in the, I could say 5 to 8 range.
Okay. 5 to 8.
I think health, and more specifically for CJ McCollum, is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, Zion hasn't played a full season in his NBA career yet.
Yeah.
But I think the young pieces that they've got, Brandon Ingram is continuing to climb.
Yeah.
Shout out to the home state kid, Herb Jones.
Yeah.
Defensive machine.
Oh yeah.
And so what they got, and Jonas Valanciunas has been great for them.
Yeah.
They got young pieces off the bench, and obviously the run they made last year.
Yeah.
Willie Green's got another year of head coaching under his belt.
Yeah.
So I expect them to make a jump. I think it's all going to be about health, but the West is so deep.
It's tough.
It's going to be tough.
I had a big argument with some guys about this last night about, where team's going to be. I'm like, man, dude, you got to understand there's a legit solid 10 in the West.
Yeah.
Like it ain't out of that 10, it can rotate however they play, and if health is good, because my next one would be, what would you see the Clippers if they're healthy?
If the Clippers are healthy, I think they're competing for a top 3 spot, and honestly, I think they're one of the better teams in the league.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
because because it all depends on Kawhi, man.
For sure.
Because he's played in the preseason. He looks good. Paul George play. He looks good. John Wall looks good. If those 3 guys can stay healthy with all the pieces they got around them, I think, like you say, top 2, top 3 in the West.
Yes,
competing with Golden State.
Agree.
Competing with Phoenix.
Yeah,
and then potentially coming out of the West. You know what I'm saying? So I think, those 2 teams. Now we're moving to the East. What would you say? I'm gonna think of. Let's go Brooklyn with all their chaos. What do you think about Brooklyn? If they're healthy, where you see them being?
I think as long as they can keep the important things first, I think they're one of the more talented teams in the East. Like I think people forget how good Ben Simmons is. Like I know he's gotten a bad rap for a lot of the off the court stuff, and I'm not
absolving him of all.
I'm not applauding some of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like when Ben Simmons is at his best, and I think he's in a position now to where he can be that kind of playmaker.
Playmaking big, yeah.
And you don't have to rely on him to go score 20+ points a game, but I think he's proven he can do that.
Yeah.
But I think when you've got Kyrie and KD, his mindset is kind of be that that point forward.
Yeah,
basically.
I think he can play that Draymond Green role.
Absolutely.
Because now it's like, okay, I can rebound, push the ball, and then of course put guys in position to do what they do best.
Yeah.
Like I said, he got shooting with Seth Curry, Joe
Harris is back.
Joe Harris is back, and then you still got Patty Mills
for sure
coming off the bench. So you got that shooting, and then you still got 2 of the most elite scorers in the NBA on your side, left or right. So now, like I said, because a lot of people are saying, well, he got to score. He don't have to score.
No,
the ball.
Not really.
He ain't got to shoot the ball.
Yeah,
he can really play how he did in Philly, but then it'd be a better benefit to
for
Brooklyn.
sure.
playing that way.
For sure.
So I'm curious to see how he's gonna look. I agree with you on that. If they're healthy and Ben Simmons, he can get out his own way and just play basketball, they top 2, top 3 in the East too as well.
I think they're gonna be scary.
So staying in the East, I don't know if you've seen Giannis. He had they had the Eurobasket tournament a few months back, and they had an interview and they was talking about who the best in the world, because a lot of people feel he's the best in the world. But he actually shocked everybody by saying Steph Curry is the best in the world, best player in the world. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I think the casual basketball fan might hear that and say, like, he's crazy, but I will give some points on why I honestly don't think he's that far off.
Okay.
I think when you look at, and like I said, I'm not even that old, but when you look at the way the game has changed as far as, like, the pace and space, more threes, kind of just the more, like, get shots up mindset, push the ball, like, spread the ball around, like, not to say that Steph was like the first, but he's taking it to a level that I think nobody saw coming just from that standpoint of like how important we view the 3-ball right now.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world values the 3-ball right now. It was funny because I actually saw a interview. It was Dwayne Wade who was interviewing some of the rookies in last year's class, and he was telling them, like, guys, like, I came in the league in 2003. Like, you guys got to understand, like, when I first got in the league, if you shot more than 5 threes in a game, you were jacking. Like, you were getting them up. Now you got Steph taking 5 threes in the first 3 minutes. But I think the thing that's overlooked is, like, for him and for the Warriors and, like, for what they do, like, those are good shots. So, like, when you take somebody that's changed the way we look at basketball, the way we value the 3-point shot, he's won, 4 championships in 8 years. Like, he's part of a dynasty. And the Warriors aren't going anywhere. And not to mention, like, I mean, you look at, LeBron, who's entering his 20th year, and some of these guys that are getting up there in age. You always ask the question, like, okay, if LeBron ever loses his athleticism, like, what will his game look like? Well, I'll tell you, that shot's not going anywhere. So,
exactly.
like, Steph's
and I think too, just to piggyback off what you're saying, like, Steph has forced people to work on their jump shot.
Absolutely.
Because even like LeBron's never been known for shooting, but like, I'm watching him these last few years and he's putting up a lot of jump shots, but he's knocking down a lot of jump shots too. And then the range,
for sure.
Because I've had MJ on the pod and he was telling me, too as well, because he's been to a couple NBA workouts trying to make an NBA team right now. And he was telling me, man, like, he said, like, they have in the workouts the 4-point shot. Like, they're already working on integrating that into the game. And also he said that, like, the coaches look at you crazy if you shoot a mid-range or like a deep 2-ball. Like, nah, man, you need to, and like, they're not even practicing like right on the line. You need to be 4 or 5 steps from the line shooting the ball. So, like, even just that mindset has, revolutionized the game itself. And that's what I'm like you. He's not far off. And then some of his other comments was, when you look at, somebody who led a team to a championship, was the best player on the team, was really the reason for the championship. That's what make you the best player.
And I think it's crazy that people kind of bash him for, he's only got 1 Finals MVP, and I'm like, dude, who cares? He was the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. He won back-to-back MVPs. Got the best regular season in NBA history. Now they lost, but he got him there. 72-9 is crazy. All the records that he set, all-time leading 3-point shooter. He's breaking his own records at this point. So I mean, what he's done for the game single-handedly, I don't know if we'll ever see something like it again. Like, I think it's going to be a long time.
I think Trae Young is the closest thing to what Steph's doing. Because he's come in the game kind of like similar to how Steph did. So I can see him kind of chasing a lot of the things that is going on with Curry now. But outside of that, I don't see nobody coming down the pipeline with the same type of archetype. So that's why I say that. But I was wondering to see what you thought about that. All right, so I'm sure you've seen everything going on in Boston. It's a complete mess in Boston. How much do you think Ime not being on the sideline, going for this year, or possibly not coming back, how much do you think that's going to affect Boston?
Well, first, I think it's unfortunate. Like, obviously, we don't know all the details of what happened. It's a lot of speculation. But anytime your leader is taken out of the picture, there's going to be an effect. To what level? Obviously, we won't know until the ball tips up. It was their top assistant. I forget his name, but their top assistant is going to be the interim for this year until they kind of figure out, what's going to go down with, Coach Udoka. So I think there's definitely going to be an impact. And too, I mean, you saw Boston like coming off of a finals appearance, and what they were able to accomplish in Ime Udoka's like first year kind of, with the reins. The timing is unfortunate because I think we're really about to see a young Boston squad like that added a Malcolm Brogdon, and
which is a huge
pickup, went under the radar.
Sleep
for
pick.
sure.
Yeah.
Because to me, that Malcolm Brogdon pickup allows Marcus Smart to be what I believe he is that off-ball pest.
Thank you. Because I felt like him being the point guard was too much.
Yes.
It's too much. I need to focus on being a pest, being a leader of the defense and focusing in on that.
Yeah.
But when he had to shoot the ball and be a point guard and assist, I think it was just too much for him.
For sure. Agreed.
And then now he can focus on one area that he's great at. And then Brogdon being a good point guard, he's a scoring point guard, big point guard too, and he can pretty much guard any position.
Yeah.
So I think they're gonna be fine, man. They got enough veteran leadership to where it sucks and it's gonna be kind of a dark cloud all over them, especially if they get off to a slow start.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're gonna be talking bad about the assistant coach and all that. That's that new head coach for right now. So they're gonna have that struggle. But I think they got enough with Horford, with Tatum,
for sure,
with Brown. Yeah, they got enough guys that can say, all right, man, listen. Because even like last year, they did that. They had a bad start, and they finally started getting things together towards the end of the season. So I think they're gonna be all right. I still got them top 3,
absolutely,
in the East, even with Ime not being there. I just hope that whatever is going to happen can happen sooner than later. Yeah, just so we can get past it.
For sure. Because the longer it drags out, like you said, it's just that dark cloud.
Yeah,
the media is going to bring it up.
It's just not going to be good for the league. It's not going to be good for Ime. It's not going to be good for any of the parties because there's multiple people involved.
Exactly.
And so I think they need to, like I said, get it over with, figure out what they're going to do with it. Either say, hey, we're done with you, and that way we can move on, or say, hey, we're going to suspend you for this year, and then they set it up to where it stopped talking about it.
For sure, yeah.
Right now, it's still being talked about a lot. So, all right. So, moving on to starting fives as a whole. What would you say? I don't care if it's East or West. Who would you say have the toughest starting five right now in the league?
I think first and foremost, you got to look at the Clippers. I think what they've been able to put together really the last 2 years, the biggest acquisition in them all is getting Kawhi Leonard back. I mean, obviously, anytime you got your franchise player back from an injury, that's huge. But, I mean, you look at some of the additions. The trade they made last year, getting Robert Covington and Norman Powell, two glue NBA guys, like
two veterans
that play both sides of the ball. You go and pick up John Wall, who I think is one of the more underrated, pickups of the offseason.
Because like I tell people, he wasn't hurt last year, but Houston just set him down because they knew they were going to trade him.
Yeah,
so they didn't want to risk him getting hurt. But like I said, people are sleeping on John Wall like he's really done, and John Wall's not done.
No, at all.
I think he's gonna have a coming out. Like I said, as long as he don't get hurt,
for sure.
I think he's gonna have a coming out party with the Clippers because the pieces around him, man, he's gonna be electric with that with that team.
And I mean, is he still All-Star John Wall?
No,
probably not.
No,
but I mean, third option John Wall, I'll take that.
Yeah, because you got to think in that position, there's not a lot of guys that you can really say that, hey, if he's third position, we good.
For sure.
He's one of those guys. He can handle the ball. Of course, he still shows some glimpses of athleticism. Still got the speed. And now with him being offseason, he gained some weight. So now he bigger and stronger. So I think he's gonna be good, man.
For sure.
I really like him over there. I think it was a great pickup for them. They still got Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
So that's another good guard with Powell, with Covington. Man, then we still got one of
Nicholas Batum.
Man. Got Zubac.
Coming off
they still got
they
got a team, and then of course you got two of the best two-way players in the league if they're healthy, Paul George and Kawhi.
So they're gonna be tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Secondly, I look at the Denver Nuggets. I think
that's a tough five.
Obviously, getting Jamal Murray back is going to be huge for them. Getting Michael Porter Jr. back is going to be huge. But I mean, going out and getting Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, proven NBA guy, former champion with the Lakers, to kind of shore up that 2-guard spot. You still got Aaron Gordon, and obviously Jokic, 2-time MVP. Like, that starting five is amazing. I think you look at Cleveland, man, like what the Cavs have been able to do is insane. With
that, Donovan, I was like, man, what is Utah doing? When they got rid of Rudy, I was like, okay, it's Minnesota and Utah, y'all out of control.
For sure.
But then when I saw them start talking about what we're not going to trade Donovan, I'm like, okay, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Because if you trade Rudy, you got to trade Donovan.
Yeah, for sure. The writing's on the wall.
Yeah,
it's coming.
It's coming. And then when I see him go to Cleveland, that's a nice five over there too. Yeah, I like it's a young five, but I think with that five, if they can get it together, I don't really see too many pieces coming off the bench. Cause I think LeVert is their sixth man.
Yes,
he'll be the sixth man, or he might even start sometimes. It depends on how the season going. But that starting five, that's a tough starting five. I like that.
And I mean, hey, they're still on the throne, so don't count out Golden State.
Oh yeah, Golden State.
I mean, hey, getting James Wiseman back, like that's going to be everything for them. I think you see what they've been able to do. Kind of mastering the small ball for so long, but you get a 7-footer that can sprint the floor and play pick and roll game, step out and shoot the three. Like that's scary.
Because you think about it, they Looney was they're undersized big, of course, but he down there banging and doing all the little things like that, setting good screens, rolling to the rim, finish at the rim. But when you add that with somebody like now that can stretch the floor, it makes them even more dangerous. So now you can't really pack the lane, and now Clay and Steph got a whole lot more room to operate. Yeah. And you got somebody that come off that pick and roll that's athletic, that can finish in the air, make jump shots. So I think that's a tough five right there too.
If they can stay healthy, they're gonna be tough to deal with. Yeah. Those are the ones probably I'd say. Man, obviously you look at Brooklyn. I mean, with Ben Simmons, like time will tell. Yeah. But I mean,
Phoenix too. I think sure. Phoenix. They got a decent four because I think is Crowder still there? Or they?
So they've announced that he's on the roster, but he won't be much longer. They're going to start Cam Johnson at the 5 at the 4. Okay. Which I think is probably the shoe-in because, I mean, he was kind of playing their 6-man anyway.
Yeah, because you got Aiden, so you have Aiden Johnson, then you'll have Bridges, and then you got Chris Paul.
And Book.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's still a solid 5, but like I said, to compare them to the ones we just talked about, I would say it's probably the lesser of the group, for sure. With what they got going on. So, all right, so just kind of, still, I know you mentioned Jamal Murray. Like we said, we've seen Ben Simmons, Jamal Murray, Kawhi. We've seen Zion. Based off what you've seen in the preseason so far, like I said, is it a good indication to say that they should be good for the whole year based off what we're seeing? Because like I said, I'm just excited to see them all back because that means to me basketball should be all-time great this year as long as they all stay on the court. Because I know Jamal, that's a big piece of Denver that's been missing.
Yeah, so. And you can throw Dame in there too. Yeah, I think the thing that all of them did a great job with is not trying to rush back. Yeah, I think it was obviously tough for their franchise and us as the fan. Jamal Murray hasn't played since the bubble. Like Kawhi Leonard hasn't played since the bubble. Like that was
2 years ago.
2 years ago,
going on 3 years now.
So I mean, you kind of forget. Like obviously we're creatures of kind of what's in front of us, out of sight, out of mind. But like. Kawhi was at the top of his game when he went down. Yeah. So, I mean, Jamal Murray, what he did in the bubble was insane. Yeah. Like that series with, Denver and Portland when he and Dame going back and forth. Obviously
40-point game.
Yeah, I mean, so it's good to see all those guys back and healthy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think they did the best thing they could have done was just not rush back and get themselves fully healthy so that they can sustain, the craziness of an 82-game season. Yeah. And all of them instantly helped their teams improve by being in uniform.
Serious improvements, of course. Yeah, I'm thinking anywhere from 10 to 15 games improvement when they're talking about wins versus losses, and then, of course, contendership.
For sure.
So now, of course, Pelicans not so much a contender, but definitely Denver, definitely Clippers, and then, of course, like I said, Ben Simmons with Brooklyn. Yeah. All right, so – now, Ben Simmons came out too as well, and he opened up a little bit about, the fallout with Philly, his last kind of days there, how he was being treated and things that people might not have known. He also talked about, that whole the past situation, past moment of history. Do you buy this whole excuse of he telling everybody, or he was telling JJ Redick on his podcast that he didn't realize it was Trae Young behind him in that moment.
Yeah.
Do you buy that, or do you say, man, he full up for that one?
I mean, I think it's easy for him to say that now. I mean, in hindsight, I think that's an easy out. Like, obviously, I'm not in his head, so I don't know what he felt in that moment. But my thing all along was, like, when the game is on the line, honestly, it don't matter if Shaq was under there.
Yeah.
If you're the best player on your team, you have to make a play in that moment.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the more, I guess, disappointing thing in that specific instance is that, like, he was in his head so much that he just didn't look to make a play. Like, I know we're all saying, like, oh, if Trae Young is under there, you got to dunk that. You 6'10", whatever. But I'm just like,
I ain't even talking about a dunk. I'm just talking about just
go
going
make
there,
a play.
just finish. Just
like,
go in there, finish.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't care if it's Shaq. I don't care if it's Wilt Chamberlain. I don't care who it is. Like, we're down. This play right here can change the game.
Absolutely.
So step in that moment and like I say, and do something with it, because you're the best. You and Embiid is all we got.
That's the franchise.
We're riding you two. You got us here, so just take us home. Yeah. So that's why I agree with you on that. Like I said, I'm not so much like, man, like you should have dunked the ball, but you should have made a play.
Yes.
And that wasn't a play to get passive in that moment, especially after you just had a heck of a defensive play. Now we come on this end, man. It's time to go in there and finish.
For sure.
Like the greats, I'm not passing the ball
at all.
I'm not passing the ball. I don't care if you butt naked, wide open in the corner. I'm going to the rim.
We're living and dying with me.
Living and
dying with me.
And if I miss it, I can take the disappointment of that. But I can't take the disappointment of, making a pass when I shouldn't. I just think overall they had beat him up so much mentally.
Oh yeah, mentally he was
checked out, because even like when he came back and he was at practice and they was showing that video of him having the beast peel in his pocket, and he was kind of like going through the motions. I'm like, yeah, man, he shot out. He done. He don't want to be a part of that organization no more. So I'm hopeful, like I said, he can reinvent himself with Brooklyn. He has a good opportunity to do that. But like I said, I didn't want to give him a pass, because I said great players make great plays.
For sure.
And he slipped this moment. So speaking of great players, I saw a thing and I wanted to see what you thought about it. Is KD a legendary player?
Absolutely. I don't even think it's a question. I think it's crazy to me that we've gotten to a point to where a player as great as KD, I can almost say, is underrated in a sense. Okay. And here's why. Okay. KD is one of those players that, like, one of a kind. Like, obviously, like, Dirk was kind of one of the first, like, 7-footers to, step out and shoot the three, spread the floor, all that stuff. But, like, KD is a 7-footer with 2-guard skill. Like, got point guard handle, can score at will, can really shoot the ball. Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. Like, he's gotten a crazy bad rap for the Golden State situation. Yeah. You can be for that. You can be against that. Okay. Honestly, like, I think any of us as basketball players that sit here and say, if I've got Steph Curry, Draymond, and Klay Thompson coming knocking on my door saying, come ride with us, that you would turn that down. Yeah. Like, I think that's crazy.
Man, we all, like I said, I think in the beginning of it all, I did feel like it was a weak move just because of how it happened. You lose to him, go play with him. But then I started thinking about it as, like I said, as a ball player, it's like, man, we do it all the time. You go to a gym and you picking the best guys.
You picking the best players on the floor.
Like, if I just saw you hit 7 threes and you just lost, Joel, come on.
Exactly.
Like, come on, play with me. Or if you just beat me and like one of your guys say, hey man, I'm done for the day. And hey Mark, come on, ride with us.
For sure.
You think I want to beat y'all. Exactly. I'm gonna play with y'all. I just want to win. You know what I'm saying? So I get it from both angles, but I've kind of let that go when it comes to KD. Now the whole legendary thing, I gotta disagree with you on that, man, because I feel like like we just said, great players make great plays. Legendary players have legendary moments, and I just don't feel like he's had a legendary moment yet. Like, he hasn't led in the sense of, what we've seen Kobe do, what we've seen Michael do, what we've seen LeBron do coming from, down 3-1. Yeah. And I just feel like those are legendary moments. And I feel like he's had great moments, great plays, and had great outcomes from some of those moments. But I just haven't seen him have a legendary moment.
Yeah. My counter to that would be, I think that you have to kind of view his situation, and I'm not saying give him a pass, but like, okay, the examples that you gave, like him going to Golden State, it's easy for the outside world to say, well, he had best supporting cast in maybe NBA history. Yeah, you're right, but I look at, okay, well, what did he do with that while he was on those teams? Because if he was just kind of fading in the shadows and just one of the guys and just kind of wasn't really at the forefront, then that's a little different. Yeah, but I got numbers for you. When you are two-time Finals MVP, all right, in 2016 NBA Finals, you averaged 30 points, 8 rebounds, 2.9 assists. Your Finals MVP. 2017 Finals, you averaged 35.2 points a game, 8.2 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 1.6 blocks, and 1.0 steals a game. And you're two-time Finals MVP. You're going head-to-head against LeBron. I know you remember Game 5 when he hit the silencer 3 in LeBron's grill in Cleveland on the road. Like, I'm just like, if he was just one of the guys, I hear you. But the crazier thing is, in 2017, Steph's numbers were NBA Finals good. Steph averaged like almost 28 points a game.
Nah, he was hooping.
But KD's numbers were so good that we don't even remember that.
Yeah, he kind of overshadowed him. I will give you that. But if I say, all right, to counter your argument, it's like, okay, when he was up 3-1 on Golden State,
for sure,
he disappeared.
No, yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like even though I know he was, he was outnumbered against Boston, but like, okay, you brought him back, you got to the overtime, you didn't score at all in overtime. Yeah, like you kind of just got pushed off the court. Yeah. So like even those moments, like I look at that too. Like yes, he had some great times with Golden State, put up great numbers, but even still, like even other times when he needed to show that yes, I'm the greatest, best player in the world, nothing you can do with me, I feel like he's falling short with that, and that's why I feel like those moments outweigh those 2 years in Golden State.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, the best opportunity for him right now is to have a healthy Brooklyn team, because Brooklyn's been banged up since he's been there. He hasn't had his full roster since he's been there. So I think this is his opportunity to kind of silence some of that, depending on how obviously Brooklyn goes. They've had crazy controversy. But if they can stay healthy and, make a run and maybe make the Eastern Conference Finals or even the Finals, I think he can, kind of silence some of the doubters on that and start pushing the needle on that.
It's definitely going to have to be on his back
for sure,
that team, for him to be able to, like I said, get there, win one, Kyrie win another one, Ben get his first one. I think it's going to be off his back. So if he can do that, and like I said, and still put up those amazing numbers that we're accustomed to, and then like I said, have those legendary moments where it's like, okay, he went on a 10-0 run, or he hit a big shot in the clutch moment of the game. I think that'll change the mind. I know it definitely changed my mindset when it comes to him, but like I said, I think it'll definitely step him up into that.
And they would have three-peated defeating Terry's Achilles against Toronto too.
That is true. So. That is true. So, but man, Joe, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode, man. I want to say thank you, man, for being on the pod. We definitely got to have you on here more. Because like I said, I know you know a lot about basketball. We talk about it at church all the time and off camera. So, man, I just want to say thank you again for sure for being on the pod. And as always, to everybody that's watching, I want you to like, share, comment below. Let me know what you think about the episode, whatever you want to see or hear, or if you disagree with some of the stuff we had to say today, please let me know. And man, but until then, we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.